Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Flash. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break everything down. I love immediately because, hey, the cure's complete and everything, and you have Charlotte being like, okay, what's the but? It's like, nope, there's no but. He's like, there's going to be one. I know there is. So they're trying to decide on what metahuman to test on. And it's kind of interesting when you break it down like that, because it's like, yeah, no metahuman's going to really want to willingly take the cure because it's, well, I mean, maybe at this point in time you can make the argument, it's like, well, some people might want to take it just because Cicada's out killing metahumans, so if you're not a metahuman, you're less likely to get killed. But then, well, no, you literally won't be one of its targets. But the thing is, it's like that would mean giving up your powers and stuff like that. And it's like, obviously with this cure situation, it's a permanent thing. I mean that hasn't really come up yet, but like, if you do take the cure, could you ever become a metahuman again, or will it kind of be a situation where the cure floods your system and makes it so that no new dark matter could ever enter your system? So meaning you will lose the potential to ever become a metahuman again, potentially. And it might be a lifelong cure, potentially. I don't know. We'll kind of have to wait and see, because I don't think they've really discussed like how far it will reach in that regard. But yeah, it was kind of an interesting thing. Lo and behold, who they turned to? King Shark to be the one to take the cure. And I love Lila. Barry's like, he had to hesitate. He's like, so, hey, this is Nora. This is my daughter. It's like, your daughter. And she's like, yeah, I'm from, and Lila's like, from the future? She's like, yeah, I'm not too surprised, you know, it's no more surprising than waking up one day and your daughter became your son. And it's just kind of, and you have like Nora kind of looking to Barry, and it's kind of like a, it was probably like a really quick thing of like, basically, it's a whole me trying to reverse, Flashpoint situation. We'll talk about it later. Probably the type of thing that's kind of like, oh yeah, just kind of reminding you that, kind of like, oh yeah, because it's, obviously Barry made the point of like, yeah, don't try and reverse, messing with time has its consequences. So I think that's kind of another thing to point out, to be like, oh yeah, because don't forget, it doesn't just affect you. Reversing time does affect other people's lives as well, which, to be fair, Nora learned that lesson pretty well, considering the fact that other people got dragged into that situation as well, the whole last episode situation. But nevertheless, it's really interesting because you had Tanya communicating with King Shark because he's, gaining more of his human side of his brain back, but he kind of loses it. And then Barry kind of forces the cure on him, which you can understand both sides of the situation, because it's like, this cure isn't meant to be used as a weapon. It's meant to be a situation of like, hey, they all went into this being like, yeah, this cure is going to be used on people who want it to be used, who want this opportunity. Because you forcing a cure on somebody, it's just like if someone used a cure on Barry without his permission. Like, he loves being the Flash, and he's a hero, and he's able to do a lot of good with it, but taking that choice away from people isn't right. I mean, that's just like what the whole Enlightenment situation was about, arguably. You could be like, yeah, that was, DeVoe essentially making a choice for the entire human race, And it's interesting because where Barry was coming from in that situation, because it's a thing of like, basically mentality of like, if I didn't do that, you guys would, he would have hurt you. So it's kind of like, in the end it worked because, hey, Shay's back to being a human. Yeah, there's complications, but still, like, he's back to being human and you're alive. But it's kind of like, crossing that line, doing something like that, isn't very hero-like, So I thought it was kind of interesting because we saw it at the beginning. It's kind of a little bit carried over from Barry being like, the ends justify the means, kind of feeling like that, And then lo and behold, it turns out who's behind a lot of this? Your boy Gorilla Grodd. I thought that was really interesting. I love that the fact is that we have these two, because they've never actually been around at the same time, but to see them kind of in a showdown and stuff like that, there's a lot of interesting things. One, Barry doing his old special thing of being like, oh, doing the supercharged punch to knock him out. That was pretty dope. But what I also like too is that Nora made a comment of like, oh, don't worry, his telepathy won't work on us because we're speedsters, right? And Barry's like, no. And Nora's like, geez, like, that's another thing the Flash Museum got wrong. It's like, the Flash Museum gets a lot of stuff wrong. It's like, yeah, because that begs the question, who set up the Flash Museum then? I'm curious to see who it was for them to leave out such important details like that. Because every time Nora turns around, it's like, wait, that's wrong, or that was left out of the Flash Museum? So that was just kind of a little thing that I really liked. But I also appreciate, like, the King Shark versus Grodd fight. I also thought it was kind of pretty neat too, like how battered their bodies got. Like both of them walked away from this fight super bloody and messed up. I even love that Cisco later on, was making a remark of like, oh man, kaiju battle and stuff like that. I even love Iris kind of commenting on the fact that she's like, wait, what? King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd? I missed it. What? But I also like the fact is that it did kind of just remind me of like a monster fight. That was initially what I was thinking. But I also thought it was pretty dope to get King Shark up. You had Barry and Nora doing a tandem lightning bolt throw. I was like, yo, and just like the way like their arms extended out together, like that was like, that looks so dope. It's so cool that like, I mean, that's crazy that to have that, like, because like that hasn't like. I guess arguably you can make the argument like that's like some Legends of Tomorrow type of stuff of like monsters fighting like that, because it's like it kind of reflects season 3's finale in that regard. But it's just interesting to think, man, that's crazy. I also love the fact is that you had Caitlin be like, I'll try and talk to Grodd, we have a connection, and then like immediately Frost was like, no. It was like, oh, she has a say in all of this too. I guess for her it's like, you're not about to put yourself in danger getting near that madman or mad gorilla, and everything. So, but what I like about this episode too is that even though it is cool to have like, oh, this monster fight element to it, the episode also has a very human element to it as well, because Shay has this whole situation of like, hey, I'm human again. He wants to make up for the fact is of like, yeah, I've done a lot of damage as King Shark. I don't remember all of it, but it's like I still need to be held responsible for my actions. And then there's the whole Tanya situation, and I love Sherlock pointing out, I was like, oh, you kind of have a thing for him. And she's like, what? No, like the fact is, how messed up would it be if I fell in love with him, like the doppelganger of my dead husband, But then, like, how crazy would that make me sound? And Sherlock's like, well, no crazier than a man who married the same woman across different Earths. It's like, yeah, he's kind of the perfect person to have in this conversation. And I thought it was so interesting, like, his perspective to her being like, the fact of the matter is, because that was what scared her the most, because it's like getting close to Shay, it just felt probably like weird, because it's like, it's almost kind of like, I'm taking advantage, because it's like, you're not, because you look like the person I knew and loved, but you're not that person. You lived a different life and everything, and it's not right. Because I'm sure maybe on some level it made me feel weird, because it's just kind of like, oh, maybe on some level she felt like maybe she was trying to replace her husband, so that's why it just kind of felt weird for her. But Sherlock said a very interesting thing, and I thought was kind of very beautiful and poetic, in the sense of like, having the experience of marrying, the same woman across different Earths kind of made him realize, like, everyone has a little bit of, has that one uniqueness about them. And it's like, if you fell in love with that person because of that spark, that one unique thing about them, then the face doesn't matter. I was like, oh, that was just kind of a beautiful sentiment and everything, which I think is kind of interesting that they ended up giving Sherlock being the one who gives that story. I mean, to be fair, it fits in his story because he would have experience with that, but it's also befitting because it's symbolic, because it also comes from that character as well, because in the sense of Wells, because every so often we get a new Wells in this series, different face, but a different heart, essentially, so which also makes me think of like some Kingdom Hearts stuff, because there's some characters that have similar faces, but different hearts and stuff like that. It's a whole thing, but it just kind of reminded me of that, and I just thought, like I said, it was kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if that's what they meant for you to kind of look that deep at it, of just being like, oh yeah, this also coming from one of multiple Wells that we've come to know over the course of this series, all with their own unique aspects to them and stuff like that. It is kind of sad, though, that when it was all said and done, it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of a spark happens between them, and it's like, hey, something's there, but that happiness is kind of taken away when Shay decides, like, I'll become King Shark again if it means I can stop Grodd, because part of his brain being King Shark as an animal makes him immune to Grodd's abilities and stuff like that, his psychic abilities and taking control of people's minds and everything. He was willing to sacrifice himself because this means that a cure will no longer work on him. He'll be permanently King Shark. They might be able to find a way in the future, but for now he'll be stuck like that. But for him, it's like, it was his way of redeeming himself. I was like, hey, I'm gonna save the Flash in the city. It's my way of making up for all the stuff I've done. But, even in that state, Sherlock kind of points out to her the fact is the heart wants what the heart wants. And the fact of the matter is, you two will find a way through this and stuff like that, So it's like, no matter what form he's in, at least, their hearts speak for them and they have each other, So, I mean, because it doesn't change the fact is that she's been communicating with him as King Shark this entire time. So it doesn't change too much, it's just a scary thing of like, because he was Shay again, it just, he had the face of her late husband, and so it made it a little more real in that regard. So I don't know, it was just kind of an interesting aspect to it. What I also thought was pretty dope, obviously we have Joe popping back up again, and every time he's talking about kind of investigating like cicada stuff, it seemed like Iris would kind of just want to change the subject, and we kind of find out why later on, because of the last episode, she's a little freaked out, because for her it's like breaking into Cicada's place was one thing, but the fact is like he knows who she is. The fact is he was going to come after everyone. He literally came after everyone she cared about just because of the whole like episode last time, and just like knowing that like not only her life but everyone she cares about life was in danger in that time, and it scared her. And Joe was there to kind of, give her balance again, to basically ease her mind, to kind of, face her fear in this regard. Because Joe was actually facing the same thing for him. Like, he's been a little terrified because let's not forget, like, Cicada came into his home and everything, tied him up. And, Cecile was there, the baby was there. He was looking for Cisco at Vibe at the time. So, that's enough to kind of terrify you. And so for him, it's like he used that as an opportunity to take the baby and him, meet up with Wally in Tibet and stuff like that. It wasn't just about seeing Wally, and, but it was also about clearing his mind. So I did like that. And it does seem like it has worked, because you do see that Iris does seem like she is better by the end of the episode in that regard. But I thought that was just kind of a nice element to kind of bring together, because it's like, yeah, Joe was secretly dealing with that too, and Iris is kind of dealing with it, which, once again, it's just, I mean, especially all the terrible situations you kind of find yourself in, because, it's kind of similar to the Savitar situation, knowing that you were going to die. In this situation, it's like things went horribly, like 51 times, because that time was the 52nd time. So of course, that would terrify you, because it's just kind of like he could attack at any moment, because literally all those repeats of time, he came after different people in different places and stuff like that. So that's to know that all those different possibilities and opportunities of him grabbing you and people you care about, it would terrify anyone. So. But that wasn't the only interesting thing that kind of pops up in this episode. We do also have the element of the thing that Barry sets up at the end of the episode, where it's like, okay, so who should be, let's get on our way to finding people to use the cure. And Barry's like, well, why don't we do it for Cicada? And they're like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. This episode taught Barry like things aren't kind of as clear cut as you would think, because one of his foes has now become an ally. He saw what Shay was willing to become King Shark again to fight for the city, because it's like you give someone the opportunity to do good. I mean, obviously they could do bad, but the fact is, if you give them the opportunity, people might surprise you, and like he has been surprised before too. So in this regard, it's like, why don't we give Cicada the opportunity? We'll give him the chance for the cure. I highly doubt he'll take it. It won't go down that well, but I think Barry's thinking to himself probably like, this is the right thing to do. We can't just take the choice for him, because even our enemies deserve that choice as well, because this will be affecting them for the rest of their lives and stuff like that, And I'm curious, in any shape or form, would Nora be okay with that? Like, it's considering all that Cicada does. Granted, once again, I've thrown out the thought that like it's not just Cicada, it's Gracie growing up and becoming Cicada herself, because of the piece of the satellite in her brain, she ends up maybe becoming a metahuman just like him in the same regard, so they might have the same abilities. So maybe it'll be a situation of she ended up taking over forms of, even if they cure Orlin, who's to say like Gracie doesn't end up, picking up the mantle anyway and continuing down that path. Like I said, that's potentially around, we'll have to wait and see in that regard, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see what ends up happening with that. Will he take it? And if he and what Nora and Eobard have planned, will that interfere or not? We'll ultimately have to wait and see. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.